Hi Sag placements, how's everybody doing? We're here with the timeless reading. Welcome. The first card that we have out is Nine of Swords. I'm also seeing Seven of Swords here too. Okay. This gives a feeling of being trapped in a little bubble that you don't want to be within, that doesn't feel particularly enjoyable. But it looks like you're actually cracking this open. I'm getting the image or images of you being contained within something, and having Nine of Swords there can be this feeling of I'm just sitting here and all of the worst thoughts and all of the fears are the things that are sort of presenting themselves to me right now. So it can be like all of the stuff that is like the opposite of comforting to you. It can be the stuff that you're worried about, like worst case scenarios that are coming up, and it feels like it's all aimed towards you, and it's all aimed towards the specific like fears or worries that you have, you know, like your worst nightmare type of things here. The way that this is, you know, it feels again like you're in this container, you're sort of stuck here. This feels like a bad dream that you can't get out of, but less so about what's actually happening and more so about just almost as if thoughts that put like some type of fear into you are like manifesting in some way or materializing in some way. You know how things can in a dream world, how they can kind of move in that direction. It feels like all of this is just aimed towards you. But this can also be like a paranoia that you're having. This can be a fear that you're having of, you know, somebody not looking out for you, being betrayed. But this feels like it's sort of, see how the hand is coming from here? This feels like without realizing it, like you are aiming this stuff in your direction and then trying to take cover, and really it's like all you the whole time. And this can be something that's feeling stressful. I wonder if it's just a time that you're experiencing where for some reason it can be a time where you can feel less grounded than you usually do. You can feel less like, I feel like your sense of well-being is being impacted here, wherever you have Sag within your chart. And when you're in this little container of this happening, it can feel like you can't really outrun it. Like it's all just there and you have to face it. And it feels like it feels like nightmare fuel to me, the way that this is. It's like those main things that you worry about, that you're like, this is a big fear of mine, I never want this to happen. It feels like a time that you can be feeling like that. And it looks like this is happening, I don't know, well, it looks like this is happening during a stressful time within your life, but it also feels like this is also adding to the stress. But I kind of feel like this is coming from you being stressed out. You can know too that when you have more on your plate, when you have more that's going on, that you can start worrying more. There can be signs of when you feel less like at your baseline, less like you. When you feel like things are normal, you can know I'm not feeling centered right now. And this is one of those signs, you know, when my mind starts becoming out of control and going in directions that I don't want it to. And of course, with the Nine of Swords and the Seven of Swords, this feels real, like you're really experiencing that. That's not saying that what you're worried about is actually happening or going to happen, but that experience that you're having is real, you know? It's not that you're not experiencing that, because you are. Again, not that those things are actually happening, but the experience is real that you're having, that perceptive, you know, the possibilities of things, the anxieties about that, if those things were the case, that happens. And then trying to truck along here. Ten of Wands feels like an indication and sort of giving some context that you have a lot going on right now, maybe more than you are sort of giving yourself credit for. Can be a time when there's a lot on your plate, there's a lot to do, your energy is going to a lot of different places, and then having judgment feels like that you're in that container. Judgment feels like whatever is going to crack you out of that. It's like you're a seed, like inside of an acorn, and this is you cracking out of the acorn here. So you're not contained by this anymore, because this feels like something that also, you see in this card how this person is all scrunched up. This feels like something that would keep you small because of the fear that's involved. And again, feeling like everything is just, it's coming from you. See how the hand, it's coming from you, but it can feel like it's coming from somewhere else. All of the worst things that you don't want to be happening. And then you sort of, so it just feels like a spiral that goes inward rather than outward. Like something compressing you. And then having this Ten of Wands here feels like this is maybe a reaction that you're having to stress that you're under. And then having Judgment there, all this stuff that's covering you, and this is going to be you breaking out of that container that you're within. This is you breaking out of that, sort of rising out of it. Judgment is also about, it's not just about getting away from things. Judgment is not about bypassing. Judgment is about seeing what was actually going on so you can understand it, because unless you're understanding something, you're not going to be able to move past it. And so if this is not understood, what's going on here actually, you're never going to be able to move through that. Like you're not going to, you can't transcend something that you haven't comprehended. So Judgment is going to be about understanding that, comprehending that. And I think also too recognizing that this is not happening in a vacuum either. Like there is stuff going on within your life that sort of brings all of this together, and it feels like it has allowed fertile ground for something like this to be taking place. And you can be looking into like what sort of set me up for this to be viable, this thing that you're experiencing here. Troubling thoughts, it feels like. And then that thing that really shuts you down, constricts. I want to actually clarify Ten of Wands to see if we can get any more information about that. Ten of Wands is basically like, as this is happening, this feels more like outside of this thing that's happening, the other stuff that's going on within your life currently. This looks like it has to do with all personal stuff that you have going on. All stuff having to do with your personal life. And because it's a Queen of Pentacles that is clarifying Ten of Wands, this can mean that all of the things that you're responsible for within your personal life, all of the things that you feel like this is a duty, like I have to take care of myself, or I have to take care of this child, or I have to take care of this home, or I have to take care of this body, or I have to take care of the bills, all that relationships, all that stuff that's going on within your personal life that has to do with you and what you have going on here in 3D, feels like it's all related to that. So what are your big stressors when it comes to your personal life? And feeling like you're taking care of things, and you can feel like you have a lot of things to take care of right now. And that can be sort of when you start moving into this territory. Because I don't think that this is a totally new concept to you, this type of cycle, this type of cyclical thinking that you get into, where it can feel like, is it coming from there? And then you realize like you've actually been generating it. Which can also be a very strange experience as well, because you can swear it's something outside of yourself, and then you find out that it's really just been you the whole time. Unknowingly. And it feels like that's what Judgment is about, recognizing where this Seven of Swords is coming from. Is it really coming from the outside, or is this something that I'm actually unconsciously directing at myself? Am I really unsafe, or is this me telling myself that I am? My thoughts telling me that I am? Tired of this, huh? I'm hearing this is how your stress speaks to you. Makes sense. You know, when stuff just gets too overwhelming. Yeah. Wow, you are really going through it right now. 9 of Swords, 7 of Swords, 10 of Wands, Judgment, which is going to liberate you, but also is difficult to do in and of itself. So that's like exertion and willingness there. Because there's psychological undressing that happens with the Judgment card. But it also liberates you because you see what's actually going on. It's like fact from fiction here with what's going on in your head. What's going on within your perception. Anything that's blocking your third eye ultimately with Judgment. This will help you clear that out. We now have 4 of Cups coming out. And next to 4 of Cups, we have 8 of Swords. Having 4 of Cups, you can feel very depleted energetically. You can also just feel, this can be a time where, you know how powerful you are? Your energy, your brain, and your solar plexus. This can be a time where it feels like it gets out of control and it's becoming unmanageable. So sometimes you can be like, wow, I love what a powerhouse I am. And right now you can feel like it's actually working against you. And you can feel tired. It feels like a very charged energy, and it feels very ungrounded the way that this is, like difficult to control even, and it's not centered. Having 4 of Cups can be this, I'm emotionally exhausted, and then 8 of Swords feels like, and now I'm just stuck here to experience this thing that's happening. I feel like I don't even have the energy right now, do I, to maneuver through this? Organizing, making some sort of plan. This feels too like just being overwhelmed with plans in general. I wonder if there's just like a lot of that's going on, like so much to do. Because it feels like I'm already taking on all of this and now I have to take on this too. It just feels like more and more stuff that's being piled on here. And you can feel like when you're tired, when you're exhausted, when your energy is lower, that's when this stuff mentally starts to happen. And it's because of feeling like you're in a position, I'm not saying like in general that you're weak or anything like this. It is a time when you can feel, because I'm exerting so much energy, there is a recovery that's needed. The recovery isn't so much happening, and so it feels like it leaves even your auric field, like your aura, your energetic field, it kind of leaves it more susceptible. And because you have such a powerful energy, it can be some really heavy stuff that ends up coming through that can be very challenging to deal with. You can feel like this is kind of low frequency stuff that comes through because it is associated with fear. Definitely isn't your first time around with this, I'm seeing. Yeah, you can be really worried. Ultimately this comes down to wondering how things are possibly going to work out, all future related. This doesn't feel like stuff now. It feels like what's going to happen at that point in time and what's going to happen at that point in time, and like how am I going to make it, or how are things going to work. It feels like that train of thought where you're really ahead of yourself and it just keeps going and going and going. I think pulling yourself into the present moment is going to be most beneficial for you, because this feels like where your consciousness is, it's like very far away from you right now, and it needs to like come back to you here. Seven of Swords and Eight of Swords does feel kind of like a out to get me type of vibe a little bit, even if it's on a really small scale. However, from everything that I'm seeing, this does feel more like a projection of fear and anxiety that's happening, but then you experiencing it again, feeling like, is it out there? Am I picking up on that? And then realizing that it's self-generating here with this, because of coming from a place of low energy, of exhaustion, of I need to take care of myself right now. There can be a part of you that just hasn't been feeling up for things, even because of pressure, because of stress, because of so much exertion of your energy. Four of Cups and Judgment can be figuring out, what do you need to see about Four of Cups? This can be like, what do you need to see about stabilizing your energy in an energetic way, in a mental way, in an emotional way? It can also be seeing if something's going on and it's not fully resonating with you. It can be a time where you depict that, is the word that's coming through to describe the energy. Depict. Four of Cups and Judgment also feels like breaking out of something, because it almost feels like the engine's stalling and this is gonna get things back working again, and it wasn't over here. Like something wasn't functioning properly the way that it needed to be. Some of you, there's a fear of rejection. Nine of Swords, Four of Cups. That can be part of this. That could have actually been the basis of where this came from in some way. Remember too, like rejection doesn't have to be super outright. It can look like a lot of different things. So sit with that if you feel like maybe that's a possibility for you with this. Definitely can be part of it. And it can be in small ways too. It doesn't have to be somebody like shunning you and being like, I never want to see you again. Rejection can be like you asking to hang out with somebody and they're like, no, sorry, I can't today. And you didn't think anything of it. And then you realize like, oh, I actually was hurt when that happened, you know? Or like you go to call someone on the phone and they didn't pick up right away. And you walk away like, oh, okay. And then you find out that that actually stuck with you because you felt upset when that happened, or you felt disappointed. It can be things like that that we don't always recognize. We feel it and we sort of ingest that, and it's doing things within us, but we don't always recognize, we don't always realize. It can even be like expecting attention or wanting attention. Again, nothing wrong with these things. And then not getting it, and that being a rejection. So many different ways that this can be. This can also be too, Four of Cups and Judgment can be understanding too, like why something wasn't clicking with you, or why something wasn't resonating with you, or like what wasn't fitting where you needed it to fit. It can be a time of understanding that as well. Or if there was a disconnect in some way, understanding that as well. I do feel like something did kick this off. I also think that just you having a lot going on in general is also part of this too. And it feels like it's been keeping you from sort of stepping forward. Even because of the possibility of being rejected potentially in the future with something. That's what it is. That's what I'm getting confirmation of with this. So I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is like a social thing because of I'm wondering because of Queen of Pentacles coming out. This can definitely have to do with something within your social life or where you're like personally involved with something where it's like you as an individual can definitely have to do with that. Your self-worth can be tied to this too. So it's associated with something from the future and it feels like a very unconscious perspective, like projection of I'm going to be rejected in some way. And that's where this has come from. And Judgment is about breaking it down, seeing what's up with that for you. How did that lead to this? And how do we break through it? How do we come out of that little acorn? And you could have also done something, if we perceive that our egos are going to be bruised in some type of way, like you imagine, you perceive you're going to be rejected or you are being rejected, but this feels more so like going to be. Seven of Swords is that part of you that pops up and is like, I'll save you from this situation, and then you do something that you can perceive as being some type of self-sabotage or sabotage to whatever that situation was that would have possibly done that to you. So your Seven of Swords comes through and it's like, like without you being aware of it, I'll make sure that that doesn't happen. And it feels like it's associated with some type of plan. So there could have been a plan to do something or a plan that something was going to happen or I'm going to be here. And then I feel like it's a possibility that I'm going to be rejected. Even like made up your mind, low key about it, because this can be very unconscious. And then your energy coming through and being like, let's take that off your plate. So the possibility of that happening is zero. When was that even going to happen in the first place? And it feels like that's what's happening with this. There's a breakdown of that. Because I'm seeing Six of Pentacles be on the bottom of the deck, and this has to do with exchanges. This has to do with values, with expectations, with the back and forth, with the relationship. Eight of Swords and Ten of Wands. Eight of Swords is that feeling of, especially with Seven of Swords above it, Seven of Swords is that, like, your shadow coming up to take care of something for you. It's like working on behalf of your ego to, like, keep you out of danger, to keep you away from being rejected, anything like that, any type of wounding. Eight of Swords feels like, is this my higher self talking to me? Is this my intuition? Is this like just my personality? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing here? Or is this my shadow and having a really hard time finding the difference? Like, how do I discern? And Seven of Swords can be that it's shadow, and so it's very difficult to discern because you can't really see it. And could have been like, nope, this is really the thing to do here, and then not realize that, again, it's coming from your shadow and can very much be telling you that a scenario is something that it's not, just to keep you out of it in case something would happen. So then having that Eight of Swords feels like, well, now that I'm here, well, what do I even believe? And then Ten of Wands feels like just overwhelmed with that, like this not being an easy thing to move through. having judgment here and having that be connected with Pluto. Pluto deals with themes about, in this scenario, Pluto, the themes of Pluto, archetypally speaking, can be about your psychology, about your wounding, the things that you do to protect yourself, how you manipulate situations to stay in control, how you keep yourself from being hurt, how to keep the upper hand if you're looking at things in that way, who you may perceive as having an upper hand, and the things that we do to get out from under that. Our Pluto energy can be very unconscious though until we come to understand it, and so it sort of works on behalf of you and on behalf of your ego, but sort of like secret service vibes. It's like in the dark sort of doing these things. And this is a time where you've caught on to something. This is a time where you realize something that you weren't aware of before and seeing what's really going on. That's where this comes from. I feel like that about broke it down. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I am sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.